Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.
And good evening, everyone. A weekly wrap-up show, week 2. It's your boy Brett Swinney here, along with the usual cast of suspects here. We've got Vincent Johnson. What's going on, Vince?
What's up?
You got Mr. Red Zone himself, Kyle Owens.
What's going on?
And CM Corey Marshall. How's it going, Corey?
What's on?
Guys, we have this thing we do every week that we're going to talk about pick'em games, and it would have been a sad show if we didn't bring on one of our 10-0 pick'em winners. I think he's coming on here in just a minute. But first off, how's everybody doing this week?
Good.
Kyle, you're excited. Got some good news to share with everyone.
My schedule finally changed. I'm not working weekends no more. Come on now.
Yeah,
let's give it up.
Let's give it up.
Yeah.
That deserves a hand clap.
It's the little victories, and it comes at a perfect time with NFL football beginning this week. We got a good slate of college football games. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm going to a Rangers game Saturday too. So come on now. And I'm off on Monday. I got a 3-day weekend, so let's turn up.
Wow.
They're still playing the Astros Monday?
No. They're playing the Athletics. Hopefully they can get a win in that one.
Yeah, they can get a win in that one.
Yeah.
A-Town, baby.
Well, our special guest is here. One of our NetSN normals. I can't call him a guest really anymore because he's on a lot for us. Brook Hill coach Jeremy Hubbard. Welcome.
Yeah, man. I was wondering when we get that guest tag dropped, but that's okay. Special guest because I'm feeling pretty confident in my picks this week because I did go 10-0 last week. KO. In case you didn't know that,
I saw it. I noticed. Congratulations, by the way.
I'm trying to get Brett's belt, but I need a bigger one. We already had this conversation.
You got that in 10-0.
Jake's here tonight. What's up, Jake? Thanks for joining us tonight. Guys, let's kind of go over what happened last week. We had a lot of guys go 10-0 this week. So we got a lot of shout outs to shout out for this week. Let me go pull up the names. I know Jeremy was one of those names. Let's see. I have them right here. Week 2, our undefeated pick'em winners is our friend of the weekly wrap-up show, Mr. Eddie Hagelman. We got Eldon Villa, Jamar Washington, Jason Shivers, Judson Welch, Kevin Greer, Mickey Smith, and Scott Poole. So I've reached out to all you guys, and so if you've sent me your email address, your mailing address, I have mailed you one of our prizes, and I will see Jeremy tomorrow night. So I'll be giving him his. I'm not gonna. Guys, have you mailed anything lately? How expensive it is?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Man, I don't know where they're must be paying them post guys really good these days because they're charging a lot for postage.
I'll mail my student loan payment here in a minute.
You should email it, Corey. It's cheaper.
Nah, I'm not gonna. I hope they get it 10 days from now, 10 days from whenever they need it.
Eddie's ready to start bragging here. He's got his 10-0 thing. I went 9-1, so I was right behind him. I don't know how you other guys fared. Kyle, I think you were right. Did you get 8?
I think I went 7-3.
7-3. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So a lot of good games. My one pick that was the kind of the upset pick didn't go for me, so that's where I lost mine. But let's talk about some games, guys. Game 1 of our pick'em for last week, Troop Carlisle. I thought this game might be a little closer. Troop just went in and donkey stomped Carlisle 52-15. Guys, what y'all think about this outcome?
It's kind of what I expected. We've talked about Carlisle a lot. I think in their classification, once district gets here in the playoffs, they're going to have a nice little run. I just think it's hard for them to compete, even against the Troops and the ARPs and all those schools that are just that much bigger. I think they're going to struggle this week with ARP, honestly, with just the number difference. But I think that Troops really good. I actually, Eddie's pointing out they're ranked number 10 now. I saw some film on them actually this afternoon. We play White Oak next week, and I got to see the White Oak Troop film. I'm telling you, Troop has some guys. They got some guys out there, and they're going to be really good. I know that my buddy Nick Harrison's been telling me how good Troop's going to be this year, and seeing it on film, I'm a believer now.
Ooh. I picked Carlisle. I just thought Carlisle would find a way to pull it off. Carlisle seems to be a little down this year. Maybe not as strong as they were last year, but big shout out to Troop. They come out there and they played hard, and they got the win, and 2-0 to the young season, so off to a good start, and I think that's why they earned their way into the top 10.
Yeah, their quarterback, Herndon, so far through 2 games, he's got 10 touchdown passes, 483 yards. So he's 10 touchdowns, no interceptions. So scoring a lot, not turning the ball over. We know that accumulates into wins. Troop's got, of course, they've got Trey Davis, one of the fastest guys probably in that classification. And so we talk about how important those at the small level, those guys that can make plays. You got Busty and those guys at Simpson. You got Trey Davis and Troop. So one guy he gets free. It's trouble for the other team. So I just thought maybe Carlisle might put up a little more of a fight. I was a little surprised about the spread, but Troop's legit. I think they're just he's got them rolling. Coach Wells is doing a great job with them so far this year. So you got Eddie here's lived in some updates. Carlisle's dropped out, and I mean, you get beat that bad, and it's tough to stay in there. I think with their classification, like Jeremy said, I think it'll make a difference. But last year they were playing the same schedule and they were beating these teams.
Well, but
So
I think it's more of a credit to what Troop's doing this year than it is a knock on Carlisle. I mean, I'm just telling you, when I saw him on film less than an hour ago, I was like, holy cow! Eddie's pointing out here, we can see this that White Oak only scored 14 against Troop and 32 against Harmony. I'm telling you, man, like Troop defensively held White Oak. White Oak didn't run a play past their own 30-yard line for the first quarter and a half. I mean, they're legit. And so Carlisle going out of the rankings, of course, at that record. I mean, and you lose by that much. What the rankings don't matter. I mean, we're going to talk about rankings tonight, but they're not worried about that right now.
yeah, they're just trying to prepare themselves for district play. All right. Anybody else got any thoughts on this game? Good. All right. Let's go into game 2. We got Garrison 48-20 over ARP. ARP Tigers, when we talked about Garrison and Joaquin being the same district, Jeremy, a little bit, and Joaquin was picked above them, you said. Not looking like that right now, as Garrison came out and an ARP team that beat Joaquin in week 1. And they beat ARP pretty handily in week 2. I was kind of leaning. I wanted to pick ARP, but I just felt like after that first week, the Garrison showed how good they were at 72-0. I wasn't really surprised by this. I thought ARP might be a little bit closer, but Garrison's is just that good this year.
I think this week in the polls, I know they didn't make it in, but I think in my poll I picked Garrison to try to put them in the top 10. I'm impressed with what Garrison's doing. I think they're a very strong team, and I was also trying to see. I was trying to get more kind of go more south and see those more southern teams. I don't know, I don't see them a lot, so I was looking at them a little bit more. But impressed with Garrison and how they started the year. They're putting up a ton of points and not giving up a lot of points either. So it's a good recipe early in the year. And again, this is gonna be a theme throughout the night. It's early in the year, so take this with district hadn't started. So these games at the end of the day don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but you can get some momentum headed into district for sure. And it's always good to get off to a hot start, but impressed with this Garrison Bulldog team. And I think they've jumped Joaquin in that district. I think Garrison should be the favorite in the district now.
Yeah. And, I think that defensively ARP kind of made their money the first week against Joaquin, right? Like holding them to 6 points. And then Garrison said, the ARP people are probably not happy about the way the defense played. And I think it's a credit to Garrison, like you're talking about, Kel. I think they're going to be a good football team this year. They've always been able to run the football, even when they haven't won a bunch of games. They've always ran it well. And I think Garrison's one of the teams that's probably not being talked about enough, not only in East Texas, but maybe in terms of making a little run if they can continue that little stretch they're on.
Honestly, I picked ARP. I picked ARP just for the upset. I always got to pick the underdogs, right? But I figured Garrison, made it was either what ARP team was going to show up. Was the ARP team that manhandled Joaquin, or was it the ARP team that was going to be inferior and let Garrison kind of take control of the game? And Garrison was good last year. They were still good last year, so it's not going to change for that matter. But hats off to Garrison. That was a tough game for ARP to play. And, now Garrison's kind of going to coast. They got Warren, and then, of course, Alto's going to be a tough one. Alto's always tough. And then, and you got Joaquin. That's going to be a pretty big game on 29th for Garrison. So, but, yeah, we'll see how they go. But like you said, they should be able to run the table in that district until they face Timpson. And we'll talk about, if Timpson can beat this team this week. So we'll see.
And that's a big rivalry game always. Garrison and Timpson are being so close to each other. You mentioned Alto, man, they've had a rough start to the year. So I really look at the schedule and think, if you just look at the first 2 weeks, and like KO said, it's early, I'm not sure that Joaquin's going to be a challenge for him. I think that you're looking at what happens when they play Bussy, right? And we'll see how much of a run they can make. Now, I think Timpson's better. Like, as good as Garrison's playing, we've talked about Timpson, they're at a whole different level. But we'll see how close they are when we get to that point. But
let me correct something. Garrison's the favorite over Joaquin, not the favorite in the district. Timpson is still the favorite in the district. Well,
sure.
I know I said that earlier, and then
we kind of figured that's what you meant, Kyle. We knew the team was a little bit better than that.
I just got to clarify so I don't get roasted later in the year. So just let me clarify that. Timpson's still the exactly. Timpson's still the favorite.
He's watching you, Kyle.
Timpson's the favorite, then Garrison.
All right. Says we got a comment from Use Dirty Sock. Garrison will give Timpson all they want this year.
We're gonna find out. I mean, we'll find out.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's why they play the game, right? That's why they line them up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on the Garrison Arp game? We good? Good, Vince?
I ain't got nothing good to say about that.
You ain't got a positive encouragement for Smink Dog.
Smink know I love him. Smink know I love him. We go way back, but I ain't got nothing good to say.
So
I gave him praise, and then you know.
In 2 games, by the way, Garrison is rushing the ball. They've run it for 450 yards a game.
Is that good?
2 games. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Oh, okay.
And they're doing it with 2 guys. They got 2 seniors. One that's got 330 yards. One that's got 300 yards. They've only thrown the ball 12 times in 2 games, so you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you're still able to run it for 450 yards a game. So we'll see. Defensively they've played well. We'll see what they get to when they go November 3rd at Timpson. That'll be a heck of a matchup right there.
Probably a game of the week.
I was about to say it might be a game of the week candidate right there.
Probably going to be 9-0 versus 9-0.
State game.
Yeah,
it'll be a state game of the week.
So I'm gonna top you, Jeremy, on this game 3. I got 2 guys in this next game that have totaled over 900 yards on the ground. The Chapel Hill backfield of Ricky Stewart and Demetrius Brisbane. So, I mean,
dynamic duo.
If you're that's just, I mean, looking at that, that's how good those other 2 guys, because we know how good they are, and so Chapel Hill's able to pick up the win, 50-28 over Van. Saw a lot of good things. I was actually covering this game. And did it on special teams with a kickoff return by Demetrius Dean. Of course, Ricky Stewart and Demetrius Brisbane. I don't know if you guys saw my highlight clip, but that one run by Brisbane where he made the guy just fall over and trip over the grass. I mean, it was unbelievable. There's always usually 1 or 2 of those each game, but I mean, Van did they hung in a little bit there in the first half, but Chapel Hill kind of cruised through to the win. I was impressed with Van, and they had some good talent on the field, but they just didn't have the athletes to stay with Chapel Hill.
I mean, you guys are definitely closer to the Chapel Hill situation than I am, but I'm going to tell you this. They've made a couple of teams that I think are quality football teams look really bad so far in 2 weeks. I mean, beating Gilmer in week 1, making Van look very average last week. I think that says a lot about them. And Eddie's right. Defensively, they're struggling, but if you're scoring 60 points a game, you can give up 40 and still go 10-0. So, as a defensive coach, I don't like it, but they're playing really well.
The Brisbane and Stewart in the backfield is probably, obviously, I don't know all the backfields in the state of Texas, but I'm willing to say they're one of the better top 5 backfields in the state of Texas with those 2 right now at the high school level. I mean, and you got to give a shout out to the offensive line and to the receivers that are blocking downfield. When I was in Lindo, we had a quarterback that was the same way, kind of as Brisbane. He would run all over the place. Like, you never knew where he was going to be. And as a receiver, it was the most difficult thing to block for him because you didn't know which way to block your guy because you didn't know which way he was going. But eventually you just learn, just latch on to him and he'll make a cut off you. Don't worry about it. He'll figure it out. And that's what Brisbane and Stewart do. And they are just fantastic. And I am with Eddie. Chapel Hill, that's my concern with Chapel Hill is their defense. Now, again, it is only 2 games, but the offense looks great. Defense, did a little better this past week. I don't think they went up against as an explosive offense with Van as they did with Gilmer. So that's probably the reason that the numbers were a little down. But you're 2-0 for a reason, and you're scoring over 50 points a game right now between the 2. So kudos to Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to button up on defense. It's not gonna get any easier, I don't want to discount anybody at all for the season, but defensively, like I said, if they're gonna win championship, they're gonna get to that level. They got to be able to stop people. Like I said, I'm still looking for that blank, still looking for that zero mark. They can get it this week and next week. Against the quality, they need it for their mental psyche, right? They need to know they can stop somebody. No matter what it is, they just need to know they can stop somebody. And that, to me, that says a lot. You can blank somebody. All right, you can still put up 50, 60 points and then blank somebody. All right, and now you're talking. Now you're a little dominant at this point. Now that says a lot. But other than that, no, you can't keep giving up. Can't average 40 points a game. But there's a lot of good that they're doing as well. They're not turning the ball over. That was a concern last year. But also the defense is they're getting stops. I know it doesn't seem like it, but an interception here, a fumble recovery, punting, getting the teams to punt the football. Those are stops, they're possessions. So, those are pluses. They're just not giving up a touchdown every other possession. So, but I mean, they look good. Congratulations to those guys. They've worked hard for it. The offensive line is probably one of the best I've seen in a long time. And then they block as a unit. And, those guys are pretty good. But I don't want to harp on those guys all night. But, yeah, they look pretty good.
Yeah, Day Ross had an incredible game, guys. I don't know if you got to also had some highlights of it. And he made so many tackles. The announcer in the press box actually gave him credit for a tackle while he was on the bench. And we made a big deal about it. It's like, because the play before, Mike D was in the booth with me. First time in the booth, he had a great time. It was a lot of fun. But he even said right before the play, when they kind of made the substitutions and put the second unit in, he said, Day Ross is still good. He'll probably make a tackle from the bench. Very play right after that. The announcer in the press box says, tackle made by Day Ross, number 9. And we looked at each other and started chuckling. And then we commented on it. It's like, he's so good. He can make tackles when he's on the bench. So, I mean, it was just because he was making so many plays. It's ADR is his new name, All Day Ross. It was incredible. He had a great game of fumble recovery. I mean, he was knocking folks' head off. So there are some guys in the defense, and I think once they get that tightened up, they'll be really tough there.
Yeah. The backdoor what Corey was saying, they got a button up on defense. Other than that, offensively, they can score with anybody else in the division, in the state. They're practically number 1 in the state. So, but in order to win state, you're gonna have to be able to stop people. So, yeah.
All right.
I did want to backdoor say this before we move on.
Yep.
Mind you, that starting defense probably doesn't finish the game. They never finish. It's like 9 minutes left in the game. They're done. They're out. So they still give up late touchdowns, but I mean they're out of the game by the by the 9 minute mark after the first drive on offense. The defense is so a lot of times the defense didn't even finish the game. That's a luxury that you have, right?
There was several, like week 1, the last 2 touchdowns that were put up, I think, by Gilmer were against the second unit, and there was at least 1 or 2 more in this game. So it does skew the numbers a little bit when you get ahead, and then you just kind of put the defense in the second unit. But you're not playing for now. You can ask, Jeremy this, I'm sure. You don't worry about the margin. You got the victory. You get out of here without the injuries, because I know you guys have struggled with those injuries, and those can turn your season real quickly.
Yeah, the thing about defense, especially early, is I'm just thinking from my past experience, the defenses are usually ahead of the offenses at this point in the year, which is kind of flipped for Chapel Hill and some others. It's not just them, where the offenses are really rolling early on, the defenses are struggling. But you're right. There's no reason, if you've got a big lead, to leave those guys out there, even though, as Corey has said, like, yeah, we want to get a shutout, but at the same time, is it smart to leave them out there for 3 extra drives in the second week of the season? Is it smart to expose them to that? You're trying to, hide things on film. You want to give other guys. I mean, from our point with injuries, what we're trying to do is put guys out there that we want to know, can they play for us in 4 weeks or in 5 weeks? And so all those things go into the factor early on. Really, you want to be at peak defensive form in week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you get to week 6, week 7, even in those games early on, 6 and 7, it's just like, okay, we may still have some things to figure out. But it is kind of backwards to me that normally it's the offenses that are struggling early on because of timing and things like that. And I think across East Texas, we're seeing a lot more points scored, which is kind of, I think, backwards to what we're used to seeing.
Well,
Yeah.
part of it too, Jeremy, is that they have 9 returners, so they're just picking up where they left off last year. So that probably helps a lot.
The expansion and the explosion of 7-on-7 and those things is helping too. I mean, even though we're talking about Chapel Hill being able to run the football, just the fact that they've been together and been playing together and all those things definitely help. But and with that said, defensively, the things that we do during 7-on-7 don't translate to what we do during the year. And so, I mean, seriously, like we if you've ever coached defense in 7-on-7, it's nothing close to what you do. So there's some learning time there, and I think that that's to be expected. But I'm not worried about their defense yet. I know they don't want to give us that many points, but when you got the weapons they have offensively, they're going to be just fine when it gets there, as long as they can continue to improve. I know Corey's wanting the shutout, but let's just get the 20 points and 30. Let's just work it down and play well. And here's the thing: turn the ball over. If you can get turnovers, who cares what the points are? Because you're going to get extra drives and you're going to go score with that offense. So they'll be fine.
All right. Game 4. This was a good one. Jasper 30, Palestine 27. I had Jasper here, but I'm pleasantly surprised with Palestine able to stay with them. I kind of thought Jasper might win this by a couple of touchdowns, but we talked about Palestine losing Nacogdoches. Maybe Corey's theory of Nacogdoches being a little bit better than we thought it's coming to tuition. Corey, you got some thoughts on this? I know you've been high on Palestine.
No, it's okay. I'll just be right and be quiet.
I'm giving you some credit, Corey. I'm giving you a spot. I gave you credit for that doesn't happen.
There's no point of repeating. There's no point of just being right. And I'm gonna be right often. These next couple of weeks, I'm gonna be right pretty often, letting you know.
Okay. Right pretty often. Corey, where do you stand in the Pick'em contest?
But where do you stand on being right pretty often?
I do. I'm right pretty often. I got 9 out of 10 picks this week.
You can pick a team, but I'm just saying this is early. This is week 3. I'm just saying there's some good teams out here. Don't let these early losses fool you. It's some good teams. Watch this Pine Tree Kilgore game. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
Oh man.
Watch this Pine Tree Kilgore game. You said, here we go. I'm just saying.
Oh, all right. What you guys got on the Jasper Palestine score?
I can't remember who I picked. I think I picked Palestine. I can't remember. I may have picked Jasper, but I thought Palestine would keep it close. I really did. I didn't think it would be a blowout. I thought Palestine would keep it close, and they did. I think Jasper's got a really good defense with I forget the kid's name, but he's a linebacker out there that's really good, going to a D1 college probably. I like what Jasper's doing. I think they're on the rise, and Palestine as well. I think Palestine's going to compete in that District of Doom with Chapel Hill and all those other schools. I don't think they'll win the district, obviously, but I think they could fight for that 4th playoff spot and maybe make it into the playoffs again. So I like what Palestine's doing. Even in a loss, they looked good. So got to give a shout out to Palestine, but Jasper's going to be tough.
Here we go with these moral victories, Vince.
Man,
I think
this
KO,
dude.
I think
And
KO was the one on that last week.
You know what? Yeah, nah. I need a chair because I'm about to get you. I'm about to hit you with this trash can. I've been waiting to get you because I'm waiting on that Kilgore because you tried to clown me about that Kilgore, but I'm gonna use your argument. You said last week we was giving out moral victories, and now you giving Palestine one. The Palestine got whooped 22 points.
No. Listen.
Okay,
listen.
go ahead.
Here's what I was saying.
Good because they lost a close game. Yeah, that's what you said, right?
No.
All right, look at Jeremy. Jeremy got his red solo cup.
No.
I want to hear.
No. But I'm listening. I'm just sipping my tea like Kermit here.
Listen, what I said about the thing with Kilgore last week is y'all were automatically saying, well, Kilgore is going to beat Gilmer because they kept it close with Carthage. That was what I was saying. Like, you can't just crown them just because they kept it close to somebody. All I'm saying, that doesn't mean Kilgore is a bad team. Kilgore's still a good football team. Well, all I'm saying about Palestine, no, they didn't beat Jasper. That doesn't mean they're going to beat whoever they're playing this week just because they kept it close with Jasper. All I'm saying is they're on the rise. That's all I'm saying. Keep an eye on them. Y'all were saying Kilgore was going to beat Gilmer, which they did. I understand that, but
like they did.
But we didn't. That's what I'm just saying. That was my point last week. Is that you were just saying they were going to win when they went out there and did it. Congrats to Kilgore.
Yeah.
But anyway, carry on.
I got what you're saying, Kyle. I got you.
Thank you, Corey. I knew. If anybody in this chat knew, I knew you would get it, Corey. I knew it. Appreciate you.
But
I'm gonna let it pass.
Back to Jasper Palestine. I'm gonna just go with what Vince said earlier. I don't have nothing nice to say. I picked Jasper to win. Obviously, I went 10-0. In case you didn't know that. But I don't think either one of them. I don't think either one of them are going to compete. If I'm being honest, they don't seem like they're the Jasper and the Palestine of the last few years. It looks a little different right now, and a close game and a competitive game does not make it a good game. By the way, I'm just saying. So I don't know. I want to see what they do the rest of the way through.
Okay. I'm kind of with that. I ain't really got a whole lot to say about this game. It happened. It happened.
Okay, listen, Eddie. Listen, Eddie.
God, Eddie.
It's week
Eddie
2, bro. It's week 2, bro.
Eddie with the stats.
But what was Beckville ranked in week 1 before we started, guys?
I know.
What were they?
Don't start this, Jeremy. Please.
I'm just saying. Let's don't.
We're never going to get away from it.
A whole show about rankings right now. I get it, but it's all for talk. It doesn't really mean anything.
I said that last week.
It's just to discuss. It's just for fun.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything yet. They
ranking,
barely beat Palestine, who's going to sneak into the playoffs if they get in at all. I mean, I don't, whatever.
So the state rankings don't mean anything either. You could be ranked, first and go out and lose the first playoff game, and that number 1 ranking didn't do.
None of that.
All we're talking is just, our opinions here. It's for fun.
I mean, let's.
I don't know. Eddie's got the Willy Wonka computers. They can just tell, or the Wizard of Oz of computers. They can just tell the right matchups.
Maybe we need a segment. It's Eddie's rankings versus ours, and we'll just argue back and forth.
No, I can't do that.
But think about rankings. Think about who does those rankings, right? Like you have people. It's like college athletics, right? You got people who don't even know who half these schools are. There are people who are 2-0 this week that aren't ranked that need to be in. There's teams that are 0-2 and 1-1 ranked because they're a name. That's how that works. So they got to prove it.
All right, game 5 then. Let's go there. White House, Jacksonville. White House put the whooping on Jacksonville, 51-19. White House is back, guys.
I'll say back.
Well, we talked about we were expecting them to come out in week 1. They kind of laid an egg there, and I know Jacksonville's down, but that's a pretty big margin of victory there.
Yeah, I thought Jacksonville was gonna put up a bigger fight.
Well, if White House got their kids back that were suspended in week 1, then this explains the difference. Like, I think this is the White House team that we kind of expected to see coming into the season. So I mean, I don't think they're necessarily any better than we saw them last week. They just actually have a more complete team than they had the week before.
Played together. Maybe sometimes that helps.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It also helps getting some key players back. So I mean, it's kind of what I expect. I expect the White House to win. I mean, Jacksonville, they're going to have a decent year, but I don't think they're on the level with White House just yet.
Yeah, I think you just need to watch week 1 for White House. Don't worry about that one, losing those guys at the last minute and not having a chance to figure that out. I mean, look, I've said what I've said about Jacksonville, but I think White House is going to be just fine. We all thought they were going to win big in week 1. If they would not have lost that game in week 1, we wouldn't have even had that game in the pick'em last week because it would have been a no-brainer, right? Like we were just like, okay, well they lost last week. Maybe there's something to that. No, there's not. There's 3 kids did something and got kicked, didn't get to play. So, I think that was an easy win for us in that one.
Yeah, Corey, how are you feeling about Jacksonville now? Is it change your opinion any? I know you picked Jacksonville. Are you after this margin of victory for White House?
I mean, they've had some tough games. They competed against Sulphur Springs, and White House asserted their dominance. It's a coin flip. I'm gonna give them a fair shot. is a coin flip. They can't beat a really good football team. They competed against a pretty decent football team, And so I mean, where are you right now? So it's I don't know, but you are what your record says you are. So you're 1-2. So.
Yep. All right, game 6. This one, Dangerfield 34, Tatum 17. This was the one that I missed here. Dangerfield was able to put it together and beat Tatum, and that just kind of sets up next week's matchup that we talked about on the Beast from the East show. But impressive, Dangerfield, coming out. I think Tatum's always has good athletes. So I think the fact that now I will say that Tatum didn't score a lot of points either, so that was interesting. They put up all those points against Center in week 1, but a little bit, I guess slower paced game, which is kind of surprising. I thought this might be a higher scoring game myself, just because of the lack of defense from Tatum in week 1 and the athletes that Dangerfield has. But no, I tried to steal one here and it got me. My long shot pick didn't work, but Dangerfield's looking good early.
Dangerfield's solid. They got a solid squad in Dangerfield. That district is going to come down to them in Harmony for the district championship at the end of the season. Dangerfield is poised to make a run. Chase Johnson at quarterback. You got Aaron Hampton out there as well. They got athletes all over the field. I'm really looking forward to this Dangerfield Timpson matchup this week. I think that's going to be a very, very good game. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good game. But Dangerfield's on the up and up. And that's why I picked Dangerfield. I mean, Tatum gave up 80 to Center. I thought they'd give up a little more than 34 to Dangerfield, which, I mean, I guess give credit to Tatum for that. But, yeah, Dangerfield's rolling right now.
Well, we said all along, right? We wanted Dangerfield to prove it. Like, we just needed to see them be consistent, and they haven't been over the last couple of years. Like, last year, the way it ended was just so, like, crazy, right? But for them to kind of put it together so far right now, especially with Bussy out, and it's kind of upset alert for Timpson. Like, is it a huge upset when they have the athletes they have and Timpson has the athletes they have just based on what we think about these two teams? Yeah, but it's not equal as we get into this week because Bussy's not going to be out there, even though Howard, the quarterback, are both, outstanding. But I think in terms of Tatum, this is kind of what we're used to seeing with them, right? They're 0-2 to start the year already. They were 0-5 to start last year. Kudos to them for playing up and playing some tougher competition, but at some point you want to get the wins. Like I like to win games a lot, but I also want to get better. So I think a lot of athletes on the field Friday with Dangerfield and Timpson, but last week that was crazy.
All right. Anybody else got any thoughts on Dangerfield and Tatum?
Dangerfield is good. I mean, we know that they're good, and like Jeremy said, them matching up against Timpson without Bussy kind of makes you wonder. Now, at the same time, Timpson has still been rolling, so I don't know. But Dangerfield is good, and if anybody were to give Timpson a run, it'd probably be them.
And I don't know if you guys saw that in the comments over there. Eddie's saying that the quarterback Chase Johnson was in a bad car wreck, so just want to lift them up in prayer in Dangerfield. If that's the case, that would be a huge loss as far as injuries if he has some injuries there from a wreck. So just Eddie's pretty good with that kind of information. So we'll just lift up the Dangerfield football team in y'all's prayers, and we'll just move on from there. Game 7. This is the game we were talking about a little bit earlier, the Kilgore-Gilmer game. So, guys, Vince, our theory worked. We had a good theory here. Kyle didn't like it, but it helped us pick up the victory. As Kilgore, I don't know if you guys got to see the end of this game, but it was pretty crazy. As Kilgore kicks a field goal at the end to win the game at the very end. Man, it was a good finish, and you wouldn't expect anything different from two really good teams. But when is the last time, guys, that Gilmer has been 0-2? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you something. to the rest of Gilmer's schedule, y'all better watch out because they're gonna try to drop 80 on somebody. I feel it coming. Because if I'm Gilmer, hey, we don't even need to get in the gym. I'm replaying footage from the first 2 games. This is our problem right here. And it ain't the workouts. We know football. We can clearly score. So just be on the lookout if you got Gilmer on the schedule, because I think they're gonna really
Who are they
put a
playing this
hurting on
week?
everybody else the rest of the season. So
I think they're playing Paris.
Who are they playing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paris. You're right, Kyle. Paris.
They're going to get right this week. They're going to get right
That's-
this week.
That's what
If
y'all
they
y'all
don't,
pray for
like-
Paris.
if they don't, though,
Mm.
I'm just
Right.
saying.
Can't think like that.
don't you do that? Don't you do
can't
that,
think
Kyle?
like that. Don't do that, Kyle. Don't do that to him.
But KO,
Don't
even
do
if
that.
they
Pulling
win
me
by,
on us.
if they win by 2 touchdowns, is that enough to say they're right?
No.
I mean,
You got to make a statement. Like Corey says.
Ooh.
Jake, you might be right.
Yeah, that's the game
You
4.
might be right.
That is against Gilmer Lindale, and
Especially seeing see how Gilmer plays this week against Paris, and then we'll come back to that comment because
He said, I'm sorry. I read it. I was reading that comment. I'm sorry.
Gilmer might drop 80 on Lindale. Yeah,
I was thinking Lindale dropped 80 on Gilmer. That's what I was
not
like,
a
what?
chance. Not a chance.
yeah. But you're right. If they don't blow out Paris this week, they better figure something out.
Well, I don't even think it has to necessarily be a blowout. I mean, well, it depends on what your definition of a blowout is. Like, I think if you win by 3 touchdowns, is that a blowout?
I mean, depends on how those depends on what those 3 touchdowns look like, right?
It's 28-0. I mean, 21-0. Yeah, it's
21-0 is blowout. 21-0.
Okay. Well, what if it's not
that's
21-0?
scum.
What if it's like 42-21?
If it's 21 points,
Yeah.
that's blowout. Yeah,
All right.
it
Well,
is.
I think they'll
21
win by
points
about 3
period.
touchdowns. I think they'll win by about 3
Is
touchdowns.
that what you call it? Okay.
It looks
Yeah.
different, man.
I don't know what a blowout is in football.
Yeah, it's 21. 21.
never-
That's how you
I
do
mean,
it.
It's
I
21.
understand
Okay.
on Madden,
That's the rule.
21-0 past the sticks.
Yeah.
I get it, but that's Madden. But in real life, you can
In
come
real
back
life,
to
it's
21
21. We
quick.
ain't thinking about you at the 21.
Well,
I see people come back after 21.
That's when you pull the starters. Nah, we done.
but I want to see it though, Vince. Right? Like I want to
Yeah.
see. Was it a 2-score game and they got to go for it at the end of the game to try to keep it alive, and the other team scores because it's a
Right.
short field? I mean, there's all kind of things like that I don't know about. But I'll say this: if it's not I think it just has to be convincing, and the score doesn't always show a convincing win. But it needs to look at it and be like, yeah, they hammered.
Wow.
Them. They took care of business.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Or
right.
poor Lindale next week. You're right. But you talking about Gilmer being 0-2. It's been a long time. But KO, you're right, man. Like at some point, all good things must come to an end, right? And are we seeing the beginning of the end here? I don't know. I mean, look at who they played. I mean, listen, I was not on the Kilgore bandwagon until last week after they
almost
lost
beat
to Carthage.
Here we go. There you go.
I'm okay
Moral
with you
victory.
saying it. I'm okay with you saying
Go
it.
ahead,
I would
say
say
it.
they beat Carthage.
They basically.
It just makes me think. I mean, listen, there are teams that everybody plays, right? And if you can play Carthage to 3 points, okay, you're for real. Like you are a good team. No, I'm not saying moral victory, but you're going to be a good football team. You're going to be just fine. And I even said last week, I think they got to back it up and prove it against Gilmer, and they won a close game. And I heard, KO, you and my man Michael Coleman on the Red Zone this week talking about Tyler High. You get in those moments and you prove to yourself that you can win those games. And that's what they did. Now Kilgore believes they can do it because they won a game. Nobody really gave them a chance to win, and they had to hang on and win it at the end. So I think they're going to be just fine. Kilgore is in Gilmer. We'll see. If they get right this week, then we'll kind of chalk it up to they played Chapel Hill and Kilgore, two of the better teams in East Texas.
Well, and Eddie's already pointed out they've got PG on their schedule.
I think that's the only loss for Gilmer the rest of the year is to PG, other than the playoffs. I don't think they're winning state, obviously, but I think PG beats them, and that's Gilmer's only loss the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
That's a bold statement. That's bold.
Wow, Eddie's
That's what I'm here for, Corey.
70 on Kilgore.
No, they won't.
That would be impressive if they did.
They won't.
Kilgore's defense is tougher.
I'll say this: if they do that to Kilgore, I will claim state at that point. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Whoa.
Only if hold on.
Who's he?
I bet he's talking about Gilmer,
They'll score
which is
70 if Kilgore scores
which is what I
69.
said they would lose in the playoffs. So anyway,
Oh,
Chapel Hill might have to score 70 to outscore Kilgore. I mean,
I don't think
I don't think
Kilgore.
Kilgore will score that many
I don't think they
points,
can
though.
score
I don't
that
think
many
Kilgore will
points.
score that many
Yeah,
points.
but the thing is, they won't let nobody else score either. Their defense is stingy. That's the problem. They're slowing everybody down.
Yeah, it'll probably be 30s, maybe 30s, 20s. I think that game. I think it's gonna be a tough game, but that's end of the year that we got to worry about
Well,
that one.
and listen,
Week 11.
as the weather gets colder, you got to run the ball and stop the run.
Mhm.
And if you can't do that, it's trouble.
Mhm.
We know Chapel Hill can
I
run
don't
it,
know if
but can they stop the run? That'll be the question. Right as of right now, the answer is no.
All right. Well, game 8. Lufkin, Nacogdoches. Lufkin 47-28 over Nac. Closer than it's been
talk
in
about.
years past. Nothing to talk about. I was gonna
nothing to talk
give you some more props, Corey. I thought Nacogdoches competed a lot better than they have in the past against Lufkin. You were saying that Nacogdoches improved. I was gonna again give you some props there for the
It's Lufkin. It's I didn't think they were going to beat. I didn't think they was going to win that game. It was going to be a competition, but I don't think. Listen, I'm giving. If you haven't noticed, these teams that are kind of borderline, I'm giving them their props. Like these borderline teams ain't like Pine Tree's pretty decent. I don't think Nacogdoches is bad either. Both of those teams, they may be okay. They may be looking at a 7-win team with both of those. So, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went kind of how I expected it to. I mean, Lufkin's
That
2-0.
game for sure.
Lufkin's 2-0, but they've played Legacy and NAC. Now that's not I'm not trying to slight either one of those teams, but I mean they're not. I don't think we look at those teams as powerhouse teams. So I want to see what Lufkin does in a couple of weeks. They'll get Longview in a couple of weeks at Lobo Stadium. So interested to see that game, see how much they've improved. But kudos to Lufkin. And I'm with you, Corey. I think there's a lot of teams in East Texas that are they're not bad teams. I think they're very competitive teams, but they're also not going to go 3 or 4 rounds deep in the playoffs either. Kind of just, this is a bad way of putting it, but kind of mid teams, like where they're just all kind of grouped together as solid teams, but not teams that are built to make a run. But
I'm not sure what this means, Eddie. Pine Tree should be in y'all's rankings this week.
Top 5, probably not. Top 10 for sure.
Yeah, it's only 5 teams, so yeah.
But here's the thing about schools like Pine Tree and Nacogdoches. They are getting better. They are becoming more competitive. It's just there's different levels, right? Like they're not in Lufkin's level yet. And that's okay. They don't have to be because they're getting there. Pine Tree's not on Longview's level. They're not on Texas High's level. So they'll get there. They're getting better. And compared to what we've seen the last few years out of those schools, I think it's going really well, So, I kudos to those guys. I'm with you, Corey. I think that those schools could both win 6, 7, 8 games potentially, and see how things play out. You get in the playoffs. If you're a Nacogdoches or a Pine Tree, aren't you just happy you're in the playoffs this year? I mean,
right.
Truthfully, I mean that's a step up from where maybe you've been.
When have you ever seen Pine Tree too deep in the playoffs? 8 wins.
Not in football.
It's been
really.
a while. Yeah, been a while.
Well, and then that district's kind of wide open. We saw it last year. How White House was cruising right along, and they lost to NAC, and then they beat Texas High, and like things can go wacko in the district. All you got to do is beat a couple teams and sneak in. So, I think you're on the right track. I think Pine Tree is improved. I just don't think they're as good as some of the teams on their schedule coming up.
That's fair. I mean
we'll see.
That's where they've been, and they got to get to that level, and I think they're getting closer for sure.
Game 9, Longview Marshall, kind of what we expected. Longview taking care of their nemesis Marshall, 48-7. Longview still trying to regroup after that week 1 loss, and seeing Marshall on their schedule, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and it kind of concerns me that what I think of Tyler High maybe is not what I thought it was, getting that close win against Marshall right in week 1, and then seeing Longview just destroy them, quite honestly. Of course, that's a huge rivalry game. I mean, that's, kind of throw that stuff out the window. I wanted Marshall to compete a little bit better. I was a little high. I actually had Marshall right behind Tyler High. I almost said John Tyler. Right behind Tyler in the rankings again because I felt like, okay, these two are pretty close, and Marshall maybe deserves to be in that top 5, but not this week. After that one, not this week.
Yeah, I don't know. After I got a chance to see Marshall and that Tyler High, and I just wasn't impressed. And I Brett knows. I told him we needed to take that Longview Marshall game out of there because I just knew that was going to be a stomping. So doesn't mean Marshall is bad. I mean they still got a long road to go, but they wasn't gonna keep up with Longview. So I mean it's Longview. What else can I say? They did lose, and I'm trying to think. The game they lost, that team was a 6A, I think.
McKinney?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Probably.
I think they played.
Talking about
I thought
Longview?
that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Longview played McKinney High. Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
6A though?
That's a 6A.
yeah, that's 6A.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it was a 6A. So I mean, it is what it is.
Didn't they play the 4A?
Well, then, and how close is Longview, to being 6A? You're used to just doesn't matter classification. They're used to just taking people down. So I think that was a little surprising still, even that. Now, I will say this, and Vince mentioned it. We talked about taking this one down, but it's a big rivalry game. It's one of those. It's a big rivalry. It's one of those. Tyler High and Legacy. You've got Longview, Marshall.
I think Marshall caught Longview at the wrong time. That's what I think. I mean, coming off a loss to McKinney, it's a close loss to McKinney in week 1 with so much expectation on Longview that I think they took out a little bit of frustration. And Marshall, maybe a little bit worn down after playing 5 overtimes, the week before, maybe a little bit kind of hanging on that loss a little bit.
That's mental exhaustion too, I mean, going through that many overtimes. So,
Listen,
I mean, they caught him at the wrong time.
Listen, Marshall couldn't move the ball until they got a pick 6 that threw the whole game off that shouldn't even have been thrown. Until then, Marshall was sitting there trying to figure out what their next move was. I just don't think that they have figured out who they are yet. And that's, like I said, it's not bad, but I mean, I'm not taking nothing from Tyler High either. I don't want it to sound like Tyler High didn't do everything that they needed to keep them out of the end zone. But for 3.5 quarters, Marshall was struggling bad. And a pick 6 turned the whole game around, which people were questioning why you even throw it over there. The dude was double covered. But that turned it around, and then all of a sudden now they're just scoring back and forth. I don't know. I don't. To me, I just feel like I don't care when you play Longview, you wasn't gonna get close to Longview. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
All right, game 10. Tyler High, Tyler Legacy. Tyler High gets the win, 28-14. And I guess the question is, after this win, Tyler High now 2-0. They beat Marshall, which we're not sure about. They beat Legacy, which we're not sure about. 2 big wins either way for the program, but does anybody kind of figure out where's Tyler High is right now? I don't think they played again on the schedule to be able to determine that yet, in my opinion.
The only thing I noticed last week that's different from the past Tyler High teams, the past 3 or 4 years, is they never gave up. Like, they never quit. Like, that's the thing.
It.
They got down early, 14-0 to Legacy, and it was in Tyler was having a hard time moving the football. And just as a side note, Tyler's quarterback is very, very short. Like, I mean,
they have 2 of them though that they keep swapping.
Well, he didn't.
But I think I know which one you talking about.
Yeah.
They didn't swap.
He played the whole
game.
It was the same one that led the game-winning drive against Marshall.
Yeah, number 16.
I forget it. Yeah. But he's got a cannon. He can chunk it. But he's a smaller guy. But they got down 14-0 early on, and it really could have got bad for Tyler High because Tyler High had another 3 and out, and they punted, and then Legacy fumbled. and Tyler High recovered and punched it in before halftime, made it 14-7 at halftime, and the rest is history. They score 28 unanswered and win 28-14. But I think that was the most impressive thing for me, is that Tyler was able. They didn't get down and didn't quit and didn't implode on themselves. They fought back and fought through the game. Derek McFall had a big game with a big go-ahead touchdown. So I don't think I wouldn't say Tyler High's back, but they're definitely trending in the right direction. And they play Horn this week, Mesquite Horn. That's going to be a tough one. If they beat Horn, I think we could start talking a little more serious about them. But they're definitely trending upward. I'll put it that way.
Let me ask you a question, Corey. So what you're saying is John Tyler is that they have changed what we expect of them, right? They get down 14 points and they came back, right? When was the last time they beat Legacy, KO?
Legacy had won the previous 4 meetings. So
4 meetings. And we still don't want to let the head coach have his chance. Come on, man. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm praising the head coach.
Well, I'll say
I know you are, KO, and I know everybody here is. But
I think he got I think he got a little breathing room after last Friday.
Well, you beat Legacy, you should.
You should have. Yeah, you're right.
Should already had it. I hadn't seen it. I haven't seen him post his outfit of the day on Twitter one time. Yeah, give him some credit.
I'm gonna say this, and you can say whatever you want. There's a lot of naysayers, whatever. Man, I watched Prime. I watched Deion Sanders and his team, Colorado, going to TCU. The TCU is not that great this year, but it has nothing to do with TCU. It had everything to do with Colorado. You gotta make those players believe, right? If you can make the players believe, there's power in belief, and you can change the player's mind. You probably can change the players. You change it, you make them do anything. Change the mentality of a team or a program. It takes a lot. If you've been losing to this team for the past 5 or 6 years, mentally they got you beat. It probably had nothing to do with skill. They just got you beat mentally. Oh, they score a couple touchdowns, we're probably gonna lose the game, and you end up winning by 14. That's pretty good. You're able to get to your players. The players start to believe a little bit. Man, you never know. Next thing you know, Cujo may come out in Mesquite.
You know
what I'm saying? You never know.
I told. I think KO is right. It's about them not giving up. Sometimes you can lose people in the locker room, and I mentioned this after week 1. I was talking to a couple of buddies, and I said, this is kind of similar to the kind of athleticism they had last year. The difference was when they would go down, they quit. They were just done. And you could see the coach was frustrated. They were frustrated, and nobody wanted to be there. And it was like that every single week. I said, now you're seeing them actually compete. And so teams who probably didn't take them seriously, like I'm not saying that Marshall should have came out here and beat them or anything, but I think Marshall probably came into their game thinking that, we got Tyler High on the schedule. They were horrible last year. They're going to be horrible this year. And then they got started and realized Tyler High wouldn't let them score. And they went up early, I think even with Legacy, they went up 14 and thinking, they probably thought, this is how they do. They're going to quit. But they didn't quit. Just like KO said, they didn't quit. The difference is they believe in the coach. They believe in the process and the system he's established, and I think that's what you're watching happen. The athletes have been the same athletes that have been there. Now they believe in the system. So leave the coach alone, like Jeremy said. Leave him alone. He knows what he's doing. And give the other coach. I can't even call his name. Trey Hahn. Give him a break too. Like it's new to everybody. Like, when you come to a new school and everything, man, you got to get people to buy in. Like Corey's talking about, you got to get them to buy in, right, to the system.
And you have to remember,
and that's so easy to do. That's not that easy.
Coaching changes usually don't happen at schools that are really successful, right? Like, if there's a new coach in place, it's because things weren't right, or in the rare situation, a guy just takes a bigger situation. So, for Legacy to be 0-2 right now, and just the same way that I'm saying that 2-0, it doesn't necessarily say that Woods is whatever he is, but Trehani, the way 0-2 doesn't define him either, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a different process for every school. Every school that has a new coach this year is going through the process
You got to get your
on
system
some
in
level.
there. I mean, you got
Yeah.
to get your
Absolutely.
system, get your coaches, get the kids used to it. It's a lot of
Mhm.
things that change in just one season. It takes time.
But high school football, both in East Texas and across the state, is so much more interesting if Cujo is back. So
Yeah.
I
It
hope they're
is.
getting back. It makes it. There's no reason.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this over the weekend, talking about all this. I was listening to somebody on the national media talking about how it's Dallas and Houston. Those are the places where it's big football. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Nah.
It should be in Tyler, Texas. It should be in East Texas, and we need to get both
They
of those
they
schools back.
they want to go to a game. They want to go to a game. You talk about John Tyler versus Longview for a
Well,
district title.
think
Yeah.
about think about
Or
Tyler and
Lufkin
Legacy
versus
last week.
Johnson. Come on.
KO, you were there. How many people were there
Yeah.
last Friday night?
Rose Stadium holds about 10,500 maybe, and I would say there was at least 8,500 there. Probably it was packed.
For teams that are both not great yet, right? So imagine when they're good, what it looks like. Good luck getting the ticket.
It was a 0-4 start, C-Rad. But yes, correct. They did start winless and then went on a streak last year. Harmony
Gotta
did.
roll. Since we're talking about big schools, let's talk polls. 6A, 5A poll. Entering into the poll this week at number 5 is Mount Pleasant. 4, Tyler High. 3, Lufkin. 2, Texas High. And number 1 still is Longview. Thoughts on the way that shook out, guys?
Well, I just tried to look at them on the app and I couldn't see them. So I'm going to try to remember what you said in the way that they were ranked. I think Tyler High moving up is and Marshall dropping out. That's really the big mover there. I think that's the right thing to do. Longview still a clear number 1 to me in that 5A. Texas High may be the best 4A team that we got in that area right now.
Y'all make a note. Eddie's impressed. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen a whole lot. So, hey,
Well,
we impressed Eddie. I mean, that's
We'll disappoint him at some point, I'm sure.
yeah, the 3A poll's coming up. He'll be disappointed, I'm sure.
But I think
Yeah.
Longview's a clear 1. I think that's right. I actually had Lufkin at 2 and Texas High 3. And I had debated over that, but for me, I had Lufkin as 2 before, and I didn't really see a reason to drop him.
My bad, Eddie.
I like Tyler at 4, but listen, White House is a team that I put in there at number 5 this week personally. I know Mount Pleasant. I know that's kind of like everybody's kind of mixed in there at 1-1 or 0-2 at the bottom, but like I said, throw week 1 out for White House. Look at what they did this week and what they're going to do. I think White House will be.
if they
a
keep
mainstay.
winning. If they keep winning, then they'll move up in there, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll be a mainstay if they can continue what they did last week.
I mean, Lufkin will play Longview at some point. That'll shake out. Lufkin plays Tyler High. So a lot of this is going to shake itself out. White House will play Texas High. So this is all it all will work itself out at some point.
Mhm.
All right, let's move down to the 4A classification. And to answer Kyle's question, the reason they haven't released these, Kyle, is so that everyone has to watch the show to find out what the poll rankings are.
Well, the 3A one was out already. That's why I was.
Oh, okay. Well, I must have missed up on.
That's why I thought that one was the only one. I thought since that one was out, the other ones would be out. But that makes sense. I got you.
that one was my bad.
Okay. All right.
I was trying to force everybody to watch us, and then they can go look at the polls. All right, so 4A, we'll start from the bottom. We have a tie at the bottom, which this is kind of coincidental. Van and Lindale tie for 9th at the bottom, and they play this week, so they'll fight that out. At 8 is Jasper. 7, moving into the poll for the first time, is Rusk. At 6 is Gilmer. 5, Center. 4, Kilgore. 3, Pleasant Grove. 2, Carthage, and number 1 is Chapel Hill. What do you guys think about that?
I had the top 5 the same as everybody else, I guess, with how that poll went. I still had Van and Lindale at 6 and 7, just because they're playing each other this week. I feel like that'll sort itself out, and then one of them be kicked out. I moved Gilmer all the way down to 8th in mine. I nearly dropped them out, but then I realized they lost to the number 1 team and the number 4 team according to the poll, so I can't hurdle too bad. And I got Jasper in there at the bottom too, but I didn't have Rusk on there, so I'm interested to hear what y'all have to say about Rusk, because I don't know much about them, but yeah. There it is.
Oh wow, Kyle! Wow, you're Eddie's favorite son now.
Well,
Well,
it'll change once we get to 3A. Just wait.
Don't worry. If Eddie's happy with you for having Gilmer at 6, he'd be really happy with me. I had Gilmer at 5 still. I think that even look at those two losses. You got to give them a little credit. But I had Rusk in there at number 7, so I'm glad to see they got it. I actually had Rusk in the poll last week too. They got to move in at quarterback. Came from Anahuac. He's a sophomore, super athletic. They got a lot of skill guys that are great. The offensive line is not as big as it was in years past.
Hey, Jeremy, where did you graduate high school, Jeremy?
Well, that's not really important, but it may have been Rusk High School.
Okay.
They got a lot of skill guys. The offensive line's a little smaller, but I tell you what, they're coached well. You guys know Coach Sitton really well. Coach Sitton does a great job. Defensively, they've changed schemes. They're going to a 3-4 attack more than what they had done in the past with some stack looks or whatever. I think they're going to be really good. Are they? If we're talking about some of those other schools being down, like Carthage or whoever else, we'll see. I mean, that's conversation. But I had Brownsboro in there at number 8, right? You start looking at teams that are 2-0 versus at the bottom of 4. It was really a mess, and I think you guys probably realized that too when you went through there. Yeah. But they're 2-0. They got Baker. I mean, they got some guys that can go too, and I think they deserve that. I still had Van in there too. I think KO, you said you had Van as well. Hard to punish them for the loss to Chapel Hill the week before, but then we talk a lot about Pine Tree and what did Van do to Pine Tree. So I think that at the bottom is kind of a mess. And actually, for number 10, I just said who's 2-0. Who's 2-0? I went with Bullard at number 10. I don't know.
Eddie was asking about
Bullard.
Hey, Eddie, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I like that. Just looking at there is I agree with Jeremy at the bottom. It's kind of up in the air, and you can see that by our picks. We all had pretty much different picks at number 10. A couple of us had Van, a couple had Silver Springs. We had our friend Brandon had Gilmer dropped all the way to 10. And Jeremy had Bullard there. I mean, you had Kaufman, you had Palestine, you got Jasper, Brownsboro. I mean, there's so much. You got the top 5 that have pretty much kind of, separated themselves at this point. But the bottom part of this is wide open. And of course, it'll all settle itself out once these teams start playing each other in district play. But I mean, honestly, it's kind of interesting. I enjoyed doing this because it's very tough and it's hard to. It's like you just kind of go with, okay, who do you think that the teams they played, like as far as the schedule goes, who has got the better teams they played, and it's kind of a guess right now. But I think our top 4, 5 is pretty solid up there.
I would say even top 6 when you have Gilmer and Center in there.
Yeah,
I think Rusk is probably a mainstay at 7 at this point. I mean, I don't know who you're going to have ahead of them. So I think it's really 8, 9, 10 for me, where I was kind of like, here's a quarter, let's flip it and see what we're doing the rest of the way.
Yeah, that district's going to be interesting with Carthage, Rusk, Bullard, Center. You talked about Brownsboro, Bullard.
Van's in there.
Oh yeah, Van. I mean, that's a tough district right there.
I just realized I've got the whole district in there except for Canton. So that was not intentional, I promise.
Man.
But last year Rusk beat Center, I believe, and then Center gave Carthage a good game. So it's kind of like that whole district kind of beat each other up a little bit, other than Carthage. But if Carthage is down, like you guys say they are, I still have Carthage at number 1. Don't at me or anything. I just believe if you, as my man Ric Flair once said, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
And beat the man.
And until somebody beats them, they're still number 1 to me. Even though I think Chapel Hill may be playing a little better right now. So it's going to be fun in 4A the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's look at this little school poll. 3A, 2A taps poll. Week 2.
Disrespect.
What's that? What's the disrespect?
This is the little school poll.
Well, they're little school. I mean, I wouldn't disrespected them. There's
Well,
some big boys in this
I
little
mean,
school poll.
Well, let me tell you a story real quick. When I was at Lindell, my senior year, we went and played Nacogdoches in NAC. Now, we were the smallest 4A in the state. We were only 6 people above the limit for 4A, so we were the smallest 4A. Mm-hmm. We went down to NAC. As we ran onto the field, the NAC announcer said, "And now coming to the field, Little Lindell." Went out there and beat them by 30. That's disrespectful.
That's what I'm talking
disrespectful.
about. That's what I'm talking about.
There's another network for that kind of stuff, Kyle.
So
That's what I'm
kind of
talking about
salty.
right
I'm kind
there.
of salty with Knack right now because that still sits on me. Little Lindell. Well, we whooped y'all, didn't we? Anyway.
Yeah, ain't
you
nothing
need-
little about me.
man. All right. Let's go through this poll. We'll start at 10. Number 10, and I'm honestly surprised that they're still ranked in our poll, is Beckville at 10.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I took them out.
Oh my gosh.
We have Atlanta at 9, Mount Vernon at 8, Hooks at 7, Troop at 6, Harmony at 5, Winsboro at 4, Dangerfield at 3, Malakoff at 2, and Timpson at 1. The new entrance in the poll is one of Jeremy's team's opponents here coming up next few weeks is Atlanta. I was looking at some stats, and I'm sure Jeremy probably knows if they've already scouted. The quarterback for Atlanta, 615 yards and 9 touchdowns for Harrison from Atlanta. They're putting up some big numbers over there. What do you guys think about this poll?
Well, before Eddie comes at me, I want Eddie to know that even though the poll has them at 7, I had Hooks at 6. So I just want Eddie to know that I ranked Hooks higher in the poll than they averaged out. So just trying to get some good graces with Eddie there because he always comes at me with Hooks. So anyway, I think the top 5, I believe, is or top 4 is kind of set. And Timpson and Dangerfield play each other this week, so they'll kind of, work themselves out. But if Dangerfield loses, are we really going to punish Dangerfield that much for losing to the top school? So anyway, I think the top 4 spots are kind of secure right now. It's kind of the rest of it that's kind of in flux. I had Garrison in there, coming from unranked to in there, and I had Troop at 7 as well. So I still had Carlisle in there. I dropped them to 10th. That was my 10th school. But yeah, I took Beckville completely out until Beckville. This will be a game this week. If Beckville,
They'll get it back.
here we
They'll
go.
get it back.
Here we go. If Beckville beats Harmony this week, I'm putting Beckville back into the bowl.
So I have a special question for Vince. Where did you have Beckville in your poll, Vince?
Number.
Go ahead and tell them.
I don't remember where I put them because I was just throwing some stuff in there. Like I root for chaos. You know how I feel about these polls. I go for chaos.
So what if
and
I
Corey
told you,
gassed me up earlier today, so I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm putting Beckville where I want them.
Where did he have him, Brett? Tell me.
what if I told you that Vince put Beckville number 3?
Yeah,
Vince.
I had him at number 3. Chaos.
Vince,
It's what I believe. It's what I believe. It ain't about what's true. What I believe is the truth.
They're gonna.
Hey, Corey. Let me tell you this. He had them ahead of Malakoff. Corey, how do you feel about that?
Why you gotta tell everybody?
To be honest with you, honestly, to be honest with you, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. As long as Timpson is number 1 at this point, because they still got to play Dangerfield.
There you go.
At this point, Malakoff. Because to me, I probably would have picked Malakoff as number 1. Just don't throw it out there. Malakoff's. Just gonna throw it out there.
Malakoff did impress me.
Just to shake it up.
I just threw it
just
together.
to shake it up.
10 minutes before
I do a lot of this because Jeremy's reaction is like, I don't know what he's doing.
I'm telling you, Jeremy. I'm telling you, you saw what I was doing when I got on. I was juggling 2 fantasy drafts. I had just finished that. I was trying to get on the live. I was just putting stuff together.
Oh my goodness!
I was stitching it together.
I like the gas. I like to sprinkle a little.
Yeah.
When everything else is calm, gotta sprinkle a little chaos on top of that.
Yeah, you gotta put a little chaos on it.
And I gotta make sure it's known so that we can, sprinkle and ignite it a little bit.
I just
boy, these picks the picks that I have.
What is that? The Joker said when he was pouring that gas. What was that Joker said? He said everything burns. Yeah, call me the Joker of these polls. Yeah,
I think you've got Jeremy speechless over here. I think it's the first time ever.
Everything burns.
I've run the gamut of emotions in the last 3 minutes, right? Where my first thought was, people aren't going to watch this because they're like, what the heck are these guys talking about? But then the other side of me says, People are going to watch this
Yeah,
because it's like a
I'm finna
free-ring
entertain.
circus right now.
I'm about
Like-
to entertain.
Okay,
Who
look.
wants to watch a show where everybody picks the same answer? Nobody.
Yeah. Nah, Beckville, they finna bring back though. Watch.
Let me just give you the long and distinguished list of schools I have ranked higher than Beckville, in case you're wondering.
Go ahead.
They
What you
include.
got?
I have Atlanta at number 5. You talking about disrespect? That's disrespect. If they line up, Harmony's. I have Harmony at 6. I can't really say that they would dominate Harmony. But you after number 6, line up whoever you want to. Atlanta's going to run over them. I'm just telling you right now. I've been telling you that, and nobody wants to listen to me. I got to play them in 2 weeks. Listen,
Hey, we're gonna see it live. Me and Vince will see that game live. So we
Yeah,
get to.
yeah.
I'm gonna be there. But Harmony at 6,
Yeah.
Mount Vernon at 7, Troop at 8, Garrison at 9. Good grief, the disrespect that those guys aren't in there. And then number 10, once again, we were talking about chaos. I'm just gonna go find a school that's 2-0 and dominating people, and it's Palestine Westwood. It's Palestine Westwood. Why not?
Nobody's giving them
Corey,
respect.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
giving them respect.
I mean,
Yeah.
And nobody giving them respect. They are 2-0.
listen,
Yeah.
all you guys watch college football, and all of you say, well, they're just ranking Georgia number 1 because they won 3 in a row. Well, okay, right. So schools get a pass. But we always say, let's base it on what they're doing right now. Well, guess what? Let's base it on what they're doing right now. Beckville got embarrassed in week 1.
They
They
did.
beat, and so why are they in the top 10? Westwood's 2-0, and they've been stroking people for 2 weeks. I don't care who you're playing. It's tough to shut somebody out. It's tough to beat somebody 50-9 like they did in week 1 or week 2. So, Beckville, good Lord, Vince.
Professor Hubbard is out tonight.
Yeah.
Third in the
Don't throw
district. They might, if you rank in their district, 3 might be okay. But
3?
I'm just saying, what are they closer to right now? Are they closer to 3 in their district or 3 overall, Kyle? You tell me right now.
Ooh.
Listen, don't bring me into this.
Wow. 3 overall.
You said,
I was like, I don't
you
want
say
that.
third in district?
Wow.
I
Third
said,
in
District?
what
Are they
I said
closer?
was,
What are they
are they
closer
closer to 3rd in district or 3rd overall? You tell me.
Oh, third in district.
Thank you.
3rd in district?
They're closer to that than third overall in the rankings,
That's
for
what
sure.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Guess what? They had that ranking in week 1 and they blew it. They had 8 months to prepare for it.
They played a busty.
Yeah, but man, it was still Timpson though. Timpson gonna do that to everybody.
Without the best
Vince,
player in the
all
state.
They played nil. They
Gonna
just
do that
played
to
nil. They ain't
everybody.
take terrible.
Timpson gonna roll on everybody they play.
Listen,
So they're
they
rolling
are.
We can't hold them to Timpson.
No, they're not going to roll Dangerfield this week.
Well, that's why I'm asking
Yeah, I
Vince.
don't know
Vince just
about
said they're
them.
going to roll everybody.
They're not gonna roll Dangerfield. I
No,
don't
they're
know.
I
not.
got Dangerfield winning
They're
that
not.
game.
They're not.
Nah.
I got
I'm
Dangerfield
not
winning that
rolling
game.
them.
I'm telling you.
Not rolling them.
But number 2 is this. Did we or did we not hear how all Beckville was worried about was beating Timpson? Is that not all they said? We talked about it in the preseason.
Yeah.
What have you heard? What did you hear? What did you hear? Well, guess what? Joaquin or whoever it was came to town, or Timpson came to town. They didn't beat Joaquin in the playoffs last year. They get embarrassed at home or wherever they. I don't even care where they were. They got embarrassed in week 1. Why are we talking
Okay,
about them?
okay.
number 3 overall?
Wait. Hold on. Because I mean, they did drop. I had to look at it real quick. I'm looking at the schedule here. I'm trying to see their losses. I mean, now they did drop 60 on Joaquin. They dropped
But
60.
they were
That's hard to
losing.
do.
They were losing that game early. Joaquin was up early, and then they decided to start playing. Like they played the first game and a half pretty bad, and they turned it on. Yeah.
But the conversation is this. The conversation is, are they closer to number 3 overall? You can't be number 3 overall if you lose by 37 in week 1 to a team you had all summer to prepare for.
All right.
I love you, Vince. Listen, man, I love you. I love you. I do.
No. Again, I know what I was doing. I wanted to see it burn.
Well, you know what's burning in my heart? I'm not on medication yet, but I'm gonna have to get on it tomorrow. Thanks, Vince.
Oh
Now,
man.
He was like,
now, week
Beckville.
9 come around and Beckville ain't
Beckville.
lost a game. I'm gonna remind everybody
But
where
they
I
might
put
be-
them.
Then they might move back up, but they got to win some before you can move. You can't.
They gotta win. Some.
They got to get past Harmony
can't
this
just-
week. Let them get past Harmony. If they get past
Let 'em get
Harmony,
past
we can
Harmony.
talk about them
No.
being back
Past
in the
Harmony.
top 10. But if they lose to Harmony, you might as well just
hold
forget
on,
about
hold
it.
on.
Hell,
If they
hell.
beat Harmony, beat Harmony,
We could talk about it.
We'll talk about it next week if they beat Harmony. Did you pick them to beat Harmony?
Yeah, there's the key.
hold on.
No chance he did. No chance he did. No chance
He
he did.
picked Harmony.
No chance he did.
He's putting on the
Let
cake
me
for
go back and
Beckville. He
look.
picked Harmony.
I think I did.
I hope you did, because I'm trying to win that belt.
Let me see.
Yeah, I should have told you my picks so you could keep picking against me, Vince, so I can keep climbing over you.
Nah, I picked Harmony.
No,
Of course you did.
I
So
picked
you put the
Harmony.
cape on for Beckville. No,
Vince,
That makes sense.
That's the
Where was-
chaos of it.
where was Harmony ranked in Vince's rankings this week?
oh yeah,
Harmony. Let's see.
probably
5,
behind
6.
Beckville.
For
Probably.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
5.
let's see. It's a John. Harmony was ranked number 2 in his poll.
What
put
in
them
the
two.
world is going on here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
We-
forgot about that. I
Do we
did.
need to just go through Vince's
Yeah.
poll? I think we should just do that. Here.
Nah, no, we
Yeah,
don't
we
need to tell
should.
everybody my
Yeah, we
business.
should. Let's go.
Timpson number 1, Harmony 2, Beckville 3, Malakoff 4, Cooper 5, Dangerfield 6, Winsboro 7, Carlisle 8, Hooks 9, and West Russ 10. No
Where was
troop.
Troop at?
Solid.
No troop.
Where was Troop? Who just destroyed Carlisle?
Who do I take? Oh yeah, Carlisle. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't take Carlisle out.
Vince,
I couldn't do
hope-
it. I couldn't
Vince,
take
at least
Carlisle out, man.
I hope your fantasy drafts went better than your poll. That's all I'm
I was
saying.
focused on the fantasy, man. My guys were running their mouth. They were talking crazy to me. I had a bad season last year, man. I had
Man,
to be
we're gonna
focused.
have some. Speaking of that, we're gonna have some fun Friday night, Vince, as we get to go cover Jeremy and see how they do. We got a crosstown Taps rivalry game. Grace versus
It's gonna be
Brookville.
good.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll be there on the call. Kyle, where are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be right down the road, literally right across the street at Eagle Stadium in Lindale for the FM 16 rivalry between the Lindale Eagles and the Van Vandals. Looking forward to that. I'm going to shoot the first half highlights for that one, then shoot on over to the TV station and be on Red Zone Overtime at 11
All
o'clock.
right.
So make sure you check it out.
I got to
Mr.
set my
Red Zone.
DVR to see my man, Mr.
What?
Red Zone this week.
Hold on. Time out. It's not on TV. It's on streaming. It's on East Texas Now. So you could go to but listen, just download the Red Zone app and you can watch live.
There we go.
Okay,
Vince-
I'm going to
Vince-
try that. Maybe Coach Rowell will be okay with me watching on the sideline. It is what it is.
It's at 11 o'clock. You're still going to be on the sideline?
It depends how the
Oh,
game goes, KO. That's how the
Yeah,
game goes.
We'll also have let's see, Center's traveling to, I believe, Louisiana to play a game. I think it's is it North DeSoto?
DeSoto.
I think. Yeah, and so they'll be on the call that one, and actually it's one of their closer road games. I was listening to the Rick Meek show. We have that live on Netison every Tuesday night, and that's one of the reasons why they picked that one. It's actually not that far, like 45-minute drive across the border there for Center. So Keith and Mike D and Rob on camera will be in Greenville to bring you the Chapel Hill Greenville game this Friday as well. So we'll have the audio only on our YouTube channel. So all those games will be available on Netison this week. And if you didn't get to catch our picks, me and Jeremy had made some picks for this week on the Beast from the East show. So go check that out as well. Guys, another week of Friday football down, 2 down, and a lot more to go here. So it's going to be exciting. When a game that you're looking to watch for this week that you guys are just specifically watching for?
Beckville Harmony.
Texas,
Yeah.
Texas versus Alabama.
That's right.
Colorado
Okay.
versus Nebraska.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
what
let's-
I'm looking for. Texas.
How about Cowboys Giants, boys? Cowboys Giants get the
Oh,
NFL action.
Jeremy, you're going to be on the. Me and you are going to be on the bad end of that. We got a lot of other fans in this room.
Hey,
Sorry.
I mean,
We got
It is
the
what it is.
Eagles. We got the Eagles, the 49ers, and Texas.
Eagles. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
I couldn't hear because of all of our Super Bowl rings. I don't know. I couldn't hear what you
Oh
were
man,
I'm sorry.
we talk.
When-
We it
we
seems
have
like
the same
every
amount
time
of
we talk
Super
to a
Bowls.
Cowboy fan, I feel like
Yeah,
they
they
try
bring up
to
them
try to
old rings.
remind
Listen.
me of the
Listen,
past.
we got the same amount of Super Bowls that the Cowboys got in the past 28 years. Same amount. Same
Guys,
amount.
saying. Okay.
guys, I may be an Eddie suck up on this pick, but I'm looking at the Winsboro Hooks game.
That's going to be a
That's-
delicious
that's
game.
A good
That's going
one.
to be fun to watch.
As you've got Finney's throwing the ball around the field. Can Hooks control that? Hooks is going to have to make that a low scoring game to stay in it, I believe. But I think that's going to be the game that I'm not at. That I'll be looking at the game that we're at. But as far as a game around the area, I think that's going to be a good one.
So I got 2 games I'm looking forward to. Number one, I'm not sucking up to Eddie. I don't know Eddie. He did follow me on Twitter. Congratulations. It's pretty boring. But I will say
That's
this.
a blocking.
No, I'm not blocking him. I'm going to keep him because I'm interested to see because Pleasant Grove and Midland Christian Saturday at Prosper will be something that a lot of people don't realize will be interesting, but it's going to be, as a TAPS guy, it'll be interesting. Midland Christian, one of the bigger schools in TAPS. They have a long history of being very successful. They've had some coaching changes last few years. Pleasant Grove, we know, is really good. But I'm interested to see how that plays out, to kind of see what one of the better schools in TAPS versus one of the better schools in 4A, which Pleasant Grove probably has more in a higher enrollment, but it's not just a huge difference. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And then our game, man. I mean, obviously I'm going to plug our game as much as I can. Us and Grace, it's a rivalry game, as you mentioned. It's always crazy when we get together. And honestly, I don't know. Brett, Vince obviously didn't see this, or he just said something to me, but we were scoring so many points Friday night on defense. We were all jacked up and amped up and everything else, and I was jumping up and giving kids shoulders and everything else. And so I've been icing my knees all week.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I'm looking forward to seeing that this Friday night.
If we score on defense, you just watch. Okay, you just watch.
Yeah.
So,
I know to keep an eye on you next time, because man, that defense, hey, they were putting up numbers. It's crazy to say that, but the defense was putting up numbers.
Oh, it is. He would have slid in your DMs.
Hey, yo.
I don't know.
Going down in the DM.
Easy. I don't know, man. Maybe I just didn't have you as a friend or something, Eddie. But no, you didn't mean to tell me you want to. Oh, let me follow him back. I'm gonna give him a follow right now.
There it is.
When he sends me messages, I don't get a notification all the time. I just happen to go in there, and then I see, oh yeah, somebody sent me something.
Hey, Jeremy, you're gonna have to tell Coach Russell over at Grace that I said hello. Former Harmony head coach, real good relationship with Coach Russell over there. So
I'm gonna be honest with you, KO. Most of the conversations between us that night usually don't involve hello.
I mean, before the game, you know what I'm saying.
Definitely not before the game.
It's pretty heated. It's pretty heated. That's
I can just see you yelling across the way. Hey, hello.
Hey, Coach Russell will be like, "Hey, tell him I said hi back," and then y'all can get back into it.
I didn't even see Eddie sent me something last time. Yeah, Eddie, I did pick Chapel Hill. He'd be worried about me picking Chapel Hill.
Listen, Eddie's getting more airtime tonight than anybody else. But I was looking at Eddie's Twitter because I want to see what Eddie posted all the time, and he hadn't made a lot of posts. He's a little he's slacking. But Eddie did say on July 13th, 2023, I wonder if Prince V83 is going to do right on the rankings this year. The answer is no, Eddie. He's not.
Oh, my God.
On that note, we're going to close it out tonight for Vince, Kyle, Corey, and Jeremy.
We'll block them on Twitter.
Right here on the Weekly Wrap-Up Show. We'll catch you next week. Y'all enjoy the games this weekend. See ya.
All right. Peace.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel.